27 degrees right here in the nation's capital. Good morning and welcome to the Friday edition of Sunrise Daily, your daily dose of sunshine. And there's a lot of it right here in the nation's capital. I'm Kayla Megwa.
All right, I can see that. But I will not forget my experience in Abuja recently. You all are having traffic like everybody else. Anyway, it's 27 degrees in Lagos as well. Good morning and welcome to the show.
That's not regular.
That's
not our reputation here. You came on a bad day.
No. So you admit that you guys have bad days. Anyway, leave that.
Sometimes, yes.
You know, I don't know really how to put this, Kayla, because now that we have a new Minister of Defense who is an immediate past Chief of Defense Staff, I'm seeing some kind of interesting dynamics, aren't you? Because on the one hand, the military will now, in a sense, report to him. The police will report to him. You know, all the Chief of Army Staff, Chief of Naval Staff, Chief of Air Staff, and the CDS will report to the Minister of Defense, who is an immediate past CDS. And I'm wondering, with the tough talk that we're already hearing, and when I heard, of course, him saying something like, I don't know, I'm sure we can get a track or report ready any moment now for you to see it as well. When he is saying something like, look, what order is a soldier waiting for? Someone is pointing a gun at you and say you are waiting for an order. What order are you waiting for? And that may sound a little comical, but at the end of the day, these are the issues. And he's also said something very, very strongly about community engagement, community reinforcement. All those dynamics, Kayla, I'm just wondering, and I'm praying in my heart sincerely that we really will be able to, go around this bend, because it's been with us for way too long. You're hopeful.
I mean, you're absolutely correct. I think with the new Chief of Defense Staff, I keep calling Chief of Defense Staff, with the new Minister of Defense, something I've been hearing people talk about is, how we have to manage our expectations. Because, you see, being a minister is different from being, now he's citizen Christopher Musa. He's not the general. But he does bring that wealth of experience. So, yes, a lot of pressure on him to deliver. There's the education about what it is that his job really entails. What are the things that we should expect from him? His job is very particular and is stipulated in our law. So, the education, we will help with that education so people can understand what to expect from citizen Christopher Musa. But you're absolutely correct. He talks tough. He's always been that way. He's always been someone to call out things that may not seem very popular, things that some people would naturally shy away from. Mr. Christopher Musa would not shy away from things like that. He would speak his mind and he would, demand accountability. It's always been the way he has talked. However, the question now with this new job that he's been given is how he will navigate our complicated terrain. Some people, like we had Laolu Akonde on the show yesterday, and he was saying that the Minister of State, Mr. Matawale, should leave the ministry so that citizen Christopher Musa can be able to focus on the job that he has ahead of him. But there are other people who say, no, that dynamic is necessary. We need both people, the politician and the soldier. We'll see how it all unfolds in the days to come. But the visuals you're seeing on our screen right now, yes, he has been confirmed as Minister of Defense. A great job ahead of him. He was thanking Nigerians yesterday in that track from the villa. He was thanking Nigerians for their support, saying he's going to hit the ground running. I understand that you all love me, and I will not disappoint you. That's a promise he made to the Nigerian people after he was sworn in. And then, of course, there's the dynamic about local authority, the calls for state police and, security at local levels. That's something that he's speaking up for and demanding that, look, at local levels, we have to have either some kind of state policing or local policing going on. And then, of course, citizen participation. That citizen participation would also involve traditional rulers. And that brings us to our conversation this morning. Today on the program, we are talking to local institutions and how they can help in this war against insurgency. And I think he's joining us via Zoom right now. Professor Louis Mobushi, who's the Obuzo of Ibuzo. He's joining us via Zoom from Ibuzo. Hello. Good morning, sir. Can you hear us?
I can hear you. Thank you very much.
It's really good to have you on the program. Let's get your take on the new Minister of Defense and the work that he has ahead of him as we tackle insecurity all over this country.
Well, I will listen to him. And he seems to have so many things in his pocket to allow him to unfold them. But one thing that strikes us is that security should be all-embracing. It should be all of us. In this local place, the little place I am in Ibuzo, I knew that I introduced what they call Ibuzo community policing to complement what the nation provides and so on. And they're doing a wonderful job by doing the grassroots management, and the national one will now complement. I think if we have that almost in every community, his own job will be a lot easier. Thank you.
It's a dicey situation. Let's talk about your role as a traditional ruler. For people, when we're trying to get citizen participation, we're trying to see how we can get people like you to impact the people in your localities. But while we're trying to get that conversation going, we would like to announce that we have to be on standby for a live coverage right here on Channels Television. The Zamfara State government unveiling Zamfara State development plan at Gusau at the JB Yakubu Secretariat in Gusau. We're looking forward to launching that right now on our DSTV viewers. And then, of course, for those of you who will still be watching Sunrise Daily, we'll be on other platforms. Yes, so back to you, Prof. The role of local institutions in helping to fight against this insecurity. Talk to us about how traditional rulers like yourself can help this situation.
Well, in my own community here, I have what I call Ibuzo ICP, Ibuzo Community Policing. They're the local ones that permit through the villages, all right? Alongside with the national police, right? And so far so good. It has been rather salutary, working well since 2006, right? So we may be having some problems here and there, but we are containing it. You know?
Yes.
I advocated that since I came in here, hoping that if we have this local policing, then the monitoring one, the national one, will have a lighter job to coordinate. All right? But Nigeria being what it is, I think some people now take it upon themselves to bamboozle us, as it were. So I'm a person who believes in the local policing, in helping the people to know their rights and to participate, all right? But if you don't do that, if you don't encourage them, they will have no results.
When you say that some people are coming in and bamboozling us, what do you mean exactly, Prof?
What I mean is that today you now have even the powers that be will instigate some people and assist them to come and to watch what we are doing. Most of the things we are having today around us here are done by those who expect to know better. So we have an infighting, all right? And that is exactly what's happening at the national level. There are some of the people who expect to help us are the people now fighting because they make little money out of it. No, I'm not in the game of that. My background as a small boy, apart from education, I started by being a cadet, right? I would have been in the army and so on and so forth. So I can understand what is actually happening, and I just let it go because there's nothing I can do about that. but we are problems of ourselves.
What do you suggest, Prof? What could be a possible solution to this problem if it's a problem that is within?
Education, patience, educating our people and letting them know that they are fighting themselves, right? There's a lot of education to be channeled into security, right? Today you can see us dancing that one big somebody from outside says, yeah, you don't have the self-confidence on how you can now tackle your own problem, right? So education is the basic thing. Know how you are going to structure your security. Start from the grassroots and bring it up, right?
Yes.
So I don't know anything. As I said, since I left the first idea, I'm observing you people. I don't want to make any commentary statement on what you should and what you shouldn't do.
Indeed, Prof. So let's talk about the community. Some people look at the root causes of insecurity. While we're busy wondering how someone entered a community, oh, our borders are porous, oh, some people came in here and they're doing this and doing that. There's also the element of poverty, the non-kinetic bit of this conversation, where in many parts of the country, we're seeing recruitments into these bandit groups and people coming up with all kinds of criminal ideas of how to make money, you know, and hide behind some belief system and try to, you know, use it to get whatever it is that they need. But at the root of it is that poverty at the local levels. How can we, in your view, Prof, handle insecurity in this country if that underlying matter hasn't been addressed?
That is the issue, all right? There are some people see us as commodity and they can trade in and make money into their small pocket, which is ephemeral. But in a short time, that money is gone, all right? So we're talking about something more serious. And it's only education that can distill our people who understand the implication of what they are doing, right? Many people think it's a trading affair. You can even take some soldiers, for instance, as a cadet. You take some soldiers and give a counter order so they can be captured, and you now go along and negotiate for them. And that's what's happening here. There are some people who are not expert in negotiation. Who do you trust? So, as I said earlier on, we need to really go to the drawing board and let the powers that be sit down there and talk about what we want to be or not to be, right? That if we talk about it, then we see the modalities of whichever choice we take, right? But some people are pretending to be trading with our people, trading with their lives. I don't think that is salutary. It's not. All right? So some people like us now sit down and watch the trend regressively, right? Unknowingly. So as an old man of nearly 90, as little I can actually do right now.
Well, there is a little that you are doing, Prof. You know, age is in the mind. Age is in the mind. You're only as old as you feel. But I do gather, Prof, that you have been calling for Anioma State. Now, this conversation has been going on for a very long time. And for people who don't understand, for many people in the Southeast, you know, they feel like, look, we need to have more states in the Southeast so that we can be on the same level as other states, other regions rather, in the country, because, you know, they feel like, look, we may not be as big in size, but we do need that kind of representation on the level that we're seeing that representation across the country. So that's the premise for it. But talk to us about the need for Anioma State and how much progress has been made since this call started. I don't know, maybe when I heard it the first time was about 10 years ago, but I do get that this has been going on for a very long time. So talk to us about the need for Anioma State and how far the conversation has gone in its creation, in your view, Prof?
Thank you very, very much. You've touched on something that is my passion. We know that this country has some majors and divisions and so on. So this starting from the amalgamation itself, which is the North and the South, right? And then after we have what called regionalization. The idea was to separate the three block powers, the Igbos, the Yorubas, and the Hausas in the North. Our own problem in Anioma here is that during the regionalization, you now put the boundary to cut the Igbo block into two, one to the right and one to the left, the box to the left. And those of us who are marginalized into on the left-hand side and made with other communities have been crying since then. In 1939, my people raised a lot of objection, right? That the boundary between North and the West, the boundary between North and the East, all right, is not the River Niger or the River Benue. But the boundary between East and West was put on River Niger. And River Niger is in the middle of the Igbo block. So those of them who were marginalized to the West have been trying to go in. That's what we have been working on. And unfortunately, when we discuss it, we mix up so many things. This regional, we're talking about regions now. From now, we now come to creation of states. You now superimpose issues of creation of states on top of regionalization. We are saying no. The boundary between East and West is supposed to be a place just called near Abuja, right? And we haven't sorted that. Now you start creating states. Now have Anambra, Imo, and so on and so forth, all right? And have 5 states. Well, I agree with you. But since the Igbo bloc is deficient by one state, and the people who are in the East, in the Eastern Bloc, are not helping us. Those of us who are marooned to the West, they are not helping us. All right? In fact, if anything, they host us. We had a unit before, at the end of the day, they gave us them outside. All right? So we cannot go just into them as such. But if we are created now as an Anioma State, it can be zoned to the southeast. And that is apparently shifting the boundary from River Niger to beyond, to between Abo and the next, and the next town to it. Okay? So we are very peaceful people. Mm. And the question of sending us to Southeast is one they misunderstand, because Southeast is the Igbo bloc. And we have gone beyond the Igbo bloc to the states. Anambra, Enugu, Imo, Abia, and so on. All right? So to us here, left in the West, for us to come, if they carve us out, we will now form the 6th state of the Igbo bloc.
Yes.
Well, that completes the issue. It's question of pull us to go in. And again, I won't go into the details of what the boundary being where it is with River Niger. Mm. I won't, because it's something deeper than that.
Oh, yes.
But it's more punishment. And our brothers from the East were not sympathizing with us when we were in the East, all right? But as nature will have it, they have carved them out into different states. We can't go and merge in any of them. So Anioma should be left where it is, but zoned to the southeast.
Okay.
The block.
All right, Prof. My colleague in Lagos, Ayo, has a few questions for you. Go ahead, Ayo.
Well, thank you, Kayla. You know, Prof, I was going to ask, when you were taking questions from my colleague around insecurity and all, I was going to ask you, how much of these were political, and I'm not saying politically motivated here. I'm saying political in terms of the issues that you have raised about geopolitical location, divide, and all of that. Uh, there, the South-South, as we put it, is not the only part of our lives where those questions are there. In the Middle Belt, you would remember, Prof, that for years they were also agitating for some relevance because they are marginalized and all of that. And there are so many like that. How significant do you see those unanswered questions and unresolved geopolitical issues in the insecurity turf, issues that we've been having over time?
Is there?
Can you hear me, Prof?
I didn't hear any question. You say you're asking somebody.
Oh, okay. I thought you were here. You could hear me. I said
No, I wasn't hearing you.
Okay. Thank you, sir. So I was saying that
Yes.
earlier you were taking questions from my colleague Kayla about insecurity and all of that. And one of the issues that was playing in my head is how much of the insecurity issues are really political. I ask that because, just as you are saying, there are a number of people who are not happy with the geopolitical positioning or divide that we've had over time. And so do you think
right.
those issues have any bearing, directly or remotely, on our insecurity issues?
I don't think the question of a geopolitical placing is causing us this problem. All right? I think you have more to go into the field for more. How does placing in the wrong geographic position get somebody to hire bandits, pay them, and come back to placate us? No. Yeah, I don't think so. I don't believe you that it is placing people in the wrong place. That can be this. We have been agitating for Anioma since 1939. We have not killed anybody. We have not fought anybody. Right? And I don't see any reason why that should cause the mayhem. What is causing the mayhem is still more.
Okay.
Here,
now,
Nigeria.
yeah, I hear you, sir, and I appreciate the response that you've given. Just to put that on record, that there is no excuse for anyone to foment any trouble anywhere. But then, as you said, the issues have been raised for many, many years, even about 20 years before Nigeria's independence. Now we have had governments, we have had people from Anioma, I dare say, who have been in the National Assembly in the First Republic, the Second Republic, the Third Republic, and now here we are. Now, I'm just wondering, Prof, how come these issues are not as prominent as they should be? Because it would seem like the political representatives from the area are not as passionate otherwise about the issue. Otherwise, I expect that a lot of that will be coming up and being front burner issues.
Thank you very much. You're right. But for one reason or the other, I've told you that for Anioma issue, we started in since 1939. And I wasn't the first person to start championing that cause. Right? We're still asking for it. But as I told you, something behind it, because they were to punish some people who fought a war against the British government. We call it Aye Kumeko here, all right? And that was the reason why they marooned all the Enu and Ibuzo people to Benin province, where they have no man to talk about, right? Now that it is the creation of Bendel and Edo that liberated us and put us now with our brothers at Okwane together. And that's what we're still fighting, that now that there's the creation of state, those of us who are marooned, we understand ourselves, we will form a group, right? And so forth. So I'm sorry if they're not that passionate, but we don't have a poor background, right? If you know a little bit about the man you are talking to. You see, I've been all over the world, and yet I know what's happening, how people emancipate themselves. Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, Prof.
I'm sorry if I'm
No. I appreciate. I think it's also an issue for some of them who have been there and who can still do something to take action. But then, talking about people who are from, in a sense, from the Igbo extraction, particularly from your area, and you're asking that, that affinity should be sustained. Yes. It's not just in Delta State that exists. In parts of River State as well, we hear people say something like, look, we are more Igbo than we are, South and all of that. Do you think it should be a holistic thing, or this Anioma State should just be singled out for that affinity with the Southeast?
What I'm saying is that the Anioma people were cut off during the time when we were doing regionalization, right? Our first prayer was to go back to the block. We haven't gone back to the block. Then you start creating states. Again, you create about all the states that I mentioned, right? Okay, if we have shifted the boundary to include the Anioma in the Igbo state, then we now use whatever you feel marginalized as another state. That's what we have tried to do. All right? And so that sounds very simple. And that's exactly what whoever is representing us in the House is advocating.
Okay. So what are your suggestions now? What are the options that you believe are open to achieve this agitation? More than how many years now? It's been a very, very long time. So what are your aspirations? What are the options that are on the table that by which you think that this can be done?
Is that those of us who suffered, who were marooned to the side, all right, are entitled to our own state. And that's how we worked on. We were actually separate communities. It was in 1989, through this effort, that we made together and formed ourselves into what we called Anioma, right? This Anioma is part of the Igbo bloc. That's one. Two, if they had allowed us to go into the Igbo bloc and the divisions are done, obviously, nobody would have been included in the division. But they have divided the Southeast, the east of the Niger, right, into states. Those of us who are maroon there are left now. We're now saying that we're all together form a state they call Anioma.
Okay.
All right?
All right.
And that Anioma should be now pushed to the Southeast. All right? That to the Igbo bloc. And that makes the Igbo bloc 6 states.
Okay.
That's what we're saying. Huh?
But Prof,
about it.
Yes, but there are those who have also raised questions about the viability of many states. So what are the things that you believe will make Anioma State a viable state? Should the nation, the federation, decide that, look, every state must now become self-sustaining? What are the possibilities you see of Anioma State being able to stand on its own feet by itself?
Yeah, first thing you can see that we will now move to our kids and kin, the Igbo bloc, all right? Two, if they have any, we have also resources that we can use to sustain us. If we've been sustaining ourselves under slavery for this long, you know what it will be when we now gain our freedom, right? So we will have enough resources to look after ourselves. If I want to enumerate them, I will enumerate them. But we are part of Nigeria, right? So we think we are sufficiently endowed, given freedom to look after ourselves like any other state.
I mean, Prof, it's a conversation. It's one that, like you said, this push has been going on since 1939, and the need for the consolidation that in the Southeast is one that will continue. But in closing, as we are wrapping up with you right now, Prof, do you think that you will get Anioma State in the near, maybe before 2027? or maybe under the Tinubu administration? Do you think you're going to get it?
I am very, very optimistic that we should have it. We're overdue, right? We have suffered marginalization since 1939. It could be earlier, but that is the regions were created then. That's when we now knew that we were being punished, right? Now we're going back to and our brothers were not sympathizing us. It is wrong for the Igbo bloc to be divided into 5 states, where the other blocks are 6 or more. They now pleading that the opening is for Anioma, because of that first mistake they made by cutting off part of Igbo land, right? Michael, call them whatever you call Madu, but our name is Anioma, all right? And that encompasses everybody that was marooned to the west. The Aniocha people, the Ndokwa people, the Eka people, and the Oshimiri people. That's the backbone of Anioma we're talking about, right? We're saying yes. Thank God we are talking about creating more states. Use us to send us back to the block where we belong. And that block will now have 6 states. Equalizing everybody everywhere. It's difficult. I don't see how that type of equation is difficult to solve.
Well, Prof, all the best in your agitations. We do wish you all the best, and our greetings to everyone in Ibuzo. We have been speaking this morning to Professor Louis Nwaboshi, the Obuzo of Ibuzo, joining us via Zoom. Thank you so much again, Prof, for being with us on the program.
Thank you very much, Maria. Thank you. Nice to speak to you.